Interesting thing about the Midwest. I've lived in the West. I've lived in New England. The Midwest is the best. If that isn't the case, it's definitely not below the Mason-Dixie line. Arizona is one place where I saw a shirt and it said Sedonia. And if this isn't a catchy name, it's I just asked a person in the Midwest where Sedonia, and they knew right away it's in Arizona, not California. The name of this video is Obama Coming Knockin' Part 2, not because I'm making fun of the first colored president, and if any colored person you're not supposed to make fun of, it's that one. And not that I do, it's just every time that I don't have lighting in my face, the lighting is behind my head, and outside it makes a shadow in front, which is called blackface, and so I reference it a lot because it's always a factor that's diminishing my vlogs. Not to point out that I'm bitching, it's just, it is what it is. When I was a kid, there was a book that was read called Possum Come a Knockin', and if there ever was a thing, it would be a possum knocking on your door that would set you loose. Set you loose as a cannon to wonder why that's happening. But no, if there was a President Obama knocking on your window, which would be the scariest thing I can think of, because it's probably not real and happening despite the fact, then you would be a book called Obama Come a Knockin'. There's some people who leave tags on their things for virtual signals, and this isn't anything apart from how much expensive stuff is in consumerism. Nowadays, China's taxes on bike repairs are owning the market because that's all there is in the market of biking is only objects from China. So they get taxed by default. It's China's tax. You're buying a bike repair or a bike. And so this signifies me leaving a receipt on the thing. It isn't something extraordinary, but nevertheless is something equivalent to the opposite of it, because equal and opposites in Newtonian are a thing. If you can make a USB plug-in, and this was me not bringing my plug-in for an outlet to my cord in order to trim fat, and that I didn't, now I need one. If I had a USB plug-in where you could put it into an arcade machine, and this is an arcade machine, something it's like a throwback to where they used to have arcades in normal places, you know, downtown, you know, the street in front of Broad Street, aka inside of a popular business that is on the corner of Broad Street's intersection. That's a street within one. Living the high life. What do they call it? Main Street. When Main Street is an intersection, it's like a hot spot within one. But if you're inside of a business, it is almost as if it's a street inside of Main Street. More on that later. I'm going to develop that arc. But first is an arcade machine. If it was a USB port, you could plug it in instead of like the change coming out and the change quarter you put in. If it was a USB plug-in, that'd be fantastic and is a great jumping point for Obama not to come a knocking, with whatever that might mean. I just popped out on the plaza and said my bike's all set. This is what I feel like if I was first class. I don't run in public unless I'm in an airport because I'm an adult or if there's an emergency. But this looks like a playpen for adults. Now I'm running short on time, believe it or not. I have one friend. That's the only person other than my parents who can press me for time. I'm short on time, so I've got to get this bike to the shop. No time to do a quick maneuver. I'm hoping these people at the bike shop are as quick as me changing weights at a gymnasium for people who leave them. I need to get this into the shop, hoping they can fix my broken wheel as quick as and realign. That's the real MO. There's the entrance and an MO. Someone entering a important office and they're going there and immediately start eating. That's showing dominance over the office, that they don't mean shit. Versus someone who's going into the thick of it, into the brush, into the wilderness, into the middle of the floor, and they're staggering as if they're getting ready to upload a super, because staggers are great to pivot and combo off of or create a super. That's a person with an entrance MO. More it's not virtual, they call it in high school not envious, what is it? Not virtual. It's can't think of the word. English 101. This guy's going out to the road with me. Probably going to his car right behind me. There it is. But yeah, it isn't virtual. They use it in the Bible almost. They almost use it in the Bible. It's more of a Latin nomenclature. It's killing me. Not venture, not virtual. It's noble. It's another synonym for noble. So that person going into the thick of it, other than the MO, into the entrance, would be more virtuous. There it is. Into the thick of it. Yeah, messing up the bends, not. But the whole reason why I'm mentioning DMX is because it's oddly similar to the word BMX. I have a tire that blew out. If it would have blown out on a turn or going downhill, or God forbid, a turn going downhill, I would have gone head over you-know-what hills. And so I would have gotten battered by concrete. Luckily, I didn't, because my tire blew out on a flat. And there's some great flatbeds I saw earlier. Flatbeds are key. There's keys to things. But there's one guy who was staring at me, thought I was walking funny because I am staggering because I'm pulling a bike that has a broken wheel. And so I'm about to fix it. I'm thinking, this guy, he doesn't have a spare BMX. He's older than Gen Z. I'm older than Gen Z. That's not saying much. But in any case, if an old person, BMXs and skateboards were invented shortly before the internet, and so a guy his age wouldn't have a BMX wheel handy to loan me a spare, so he can go ahead and stare at me staggering. I'm pushing a BMX bike as a broken wheel, and it doesn't look like it's broken because from a distance it looks normal, right? It isn't. It's flat and it's hard pushing. I really want to do this. But here's the thing: when you upload a whole bunch of videos at once, or it's in the community tab, if it's not part 1, 2, 3, after 3 and 4, you're just cannibalizing your post, because you're not supposed to. You've got to let it sit and settle. This is what simmering is. We're talking about that earlier. I saw a person taking a picture of the river earlier, and I thought it's a still frame, but he's trying to go for something in motion. This is a reflection of water off the staircase, so it's better than simple state, which would be a still motion. So it is what it is. I saw a comic book and it had hip-hop in it. I played a video game and it had these unlockable avatars. They were hip-hop singers. No, they weren't hip-hop singers, they were hip-hop rappers, and they weren't unlockable. There was actually just a mix of the video game, and it had all the classic rapping. I had a thing I bought when I was a kid. There were CDs, but there were CD books. They were getting more intricate the older I got as a kid, with CDs having booklets of Bob Marley and then hip-hop. And so I knew all the hip-hop artists from the start of hip-hop until the 90s, with all the classic ones. And so it was today where I saw the classic ones inside of a comic book. And so why this is reminiscent to me is I saw DMX. I guess there's fan art at the end. You can do fan art. It's prevalent in video games and anime, and those are closely intertwined. For reasons of capitalizing what staggering is, if there's someone who isn't great, but they know how to stagger, they can do some things that are great. When you mention what David and Goliath is, you know, stuff like this is staggering, but then it's also eye-opening when they capitalize the staggering. Pause. Okay, so now I'd like to talk to Gen Z or anyone below them, because I was once in your shoes and now it's about how to combat doublespeak. Is that you have to get smarter. Lately I've been combating doublespeak with talking slower, and this is a prequel. What I mean by this is that with best things they come in threes. So if you have a prefix, you can combat a suffix and then put it into action by going live. One thing you have to know if you're doing it live is that this isn't live, but you can be if it is. You get above 1,000 subscribers, and then you can go live. I, for the last 3 years, have been combating 2 channels. One where I achieved 12 fairly quickly. The second where I thought it was a broken thing and I can get more. So in the last year, I've accumulated up until 9 subs, down to 7. Now I'm back up to 8 subs. Do I have any chance of going live, of getting 1,000 subscribers in order to go live on the only platform that matters, YouTube? Doesn't look like this year unless I change the format drastically, and I'm not going to sell out. However, in any case, combating doublespeak is by one thing I do is when you're in public, you can say stuff on the fly, and if it is worth saying, it's a good thing that you can troll with, because it applies across any platform in any subject. And so if you're dead on, that's when everyone else knows. And this is what you can see on screen with body language, is what I'm doing with my verbal mouth. And don't write that down, it's not politically correct. And I'm not politically correct, I'm politically direct. Let that soak in. And that's why adjuvant tastes so good at first, because it's like combated with the sugar rush, but then you crash off it super hard because it was a knockoff. Let that simmer. There's things with simmering and then settling. You simmer if it's cooking a solid object, and it settles if it's like liquid and it's being set in. Where I'm going with this is when you troll and there's points that are so valid. I've been saying this with my head down, but without my phone out and recording it. But if you do say it, I've been like working up for this prequel stuff, and I'm pretty good at it. So I'm actually gonna enhance the trolling by doing it on a camera. But in any case, it's if you troll, you have to note that your freedom of speech can be limited to being punished by going 12 rounds or having be put in jail, or getting kicked out of a place where you shouldn't have been. And if you've never been kicked out of a place that you shouldn't have been, and if it's for something that you said, you probably had said something that was trolling. So what staggering is, I view staggering as something where it's, well, you can stagger things if you grease the skids, and anything with skids. Imagine it if it was everything running haywire, and then with geopolitics and then boots on the ground, you get a greater spectacle of what something ran lunacy is. Any president who gets killed, this started in World War One, and then it's lunacy from there. So if you've got, let's back up, pump the brakes and backpedal. If you have geopolitics with boots on the grounds, you start to see how lunacy actually it is. And this is what the hippies got right. Even if they fell off, this is what they were actually doing. They're protesting a war and having peace. Despite the geopolitics, they were dead on with that point. But I heard like this Grateful Dead thing where they said there's these like communities who did a lot of sugar, and by sugar I mean what's the difference between a knockoff brand of Pepsi and then the actual one? You like put the bottle up to your lips and you taste the Pepsi. That's a knockoff brand. I'm sorry, but let's get another picture of this glaze where I'm describing a knockoff brand of Pepsi. And you feel it touching your lips, and you know you're going to get fulfilled drinking it because whenever you have like fast food or fast drinks, a fast food liquid form is equivalent to like a knockoff brand of Pepsi or Coca-Cola or any cola, like the KC cola. So like you know that it's gonna taste really good at first, but then you're gonna get a lag off it afterwards because it's got adjuvant in it. It's made cheaper, but it tastes good at first. This is what splurging is. And so when a president splurges, there's a lot of money involved, usually, is how he gets coaxed because he's in a position of power already. And I know with my vlogs, I've been missing the point, but we're going to have an overarching and it's going to really buckle down a linchpin. Thanks for watching. I'm about to get my bike changed because I've been staggering my legs. People stagger legs because they have multiple tendons, and it can be useful to achieve a maneuver, especially when you're carrying a lot of weight with you. It's when you have less weight, it's harder to stagger. Like what a ghost is a zero weight because it has photons which are massless. That's its build for. More on this make later when we discover what Pirates of the Caribbean had with their ghost ship in a rendition of the Oregon Trail if it had a ghost, with an acclamation towards The Sims because they have a ghost. If you lock a person inside a pool, take out the ladder, they become a ghost in The Sims. This is a hack for the Oregon Trail. More on this with video games. Stay tuned for later. Sister has a like thing where she posts pictures of her food. If you're teaching someone how to eat, it's like you can eat, if you don't like the crust, up to there and up to there. But if you're going to be eating the corner from there and the corner from there, it's less a good idea. See, this is what I first saw in vlogging. It was immersive, and how to do that is to show stuff on the fly. And when you're doing this, it's kind of difficult because it could be seen in different eyes of what is actually a spectacle. And so in spectacles of eyes, four eyes of course, but more differently. I don't know, but when talking about like adults and kids, it's like I had a dream when I was a kid, and I think I saw myself as an adult because there's this person like this blue robe, and it was so dramatic because he started like walking away from me, and I think it was me as an adult walking away from myself because for some reason I woke up like I actually thought it was real. It was the one like dream where like I actually like thought it was real. So like if you have one dream in your life where it feels like it is so real, this was one of them. So I just woke up because like as a kid I saw him walking away, and the discontentment from this figure walking away from me, it was so personable. And so it's like I knew this person. I don't know if it was me or like God, I say Jesus, but like someone was walking away from me, and it was so personable because I understood like what body motion is, and as a kid, just a walking away like was discontentment because the person was angry when they're walking away from me, and because I felt the dream was like it was in real life for some odd reason, I understood like what walking is. So it's really distasteful as an adult to see like media, when people are walking in media, to say that that message that they're in motion is more important because they're using their body as like a vessel of like sacredness. Because this person in my dream, they were like in a castle and they were in like a fancy robe, so it was like sacred. But no, to note what a core is. So the core values, um, your inner instincts, they must formulate from core values. So if there's a thing that is taking you over, like if you're sick, it's a thing that's foreign that's in you because your stable state isn't being sick. And so in order to combat this, It's the understanding of what high-tech things are that go inside of you. And there rhymes with Fano Fleck.